Friends, until now, you've only heard about the horrors of prison life, the brutal torture, the endless physical and mental abuse that inmates endure behind bars. But today, you're about to see the other side of prison, something so shocking that it might completely change your perception of what a jail really is. Because, believe it or not, in some corners of the world, there exist prisons where inmates live not in misery, but in comfort. In fact, some of them live better than free people outside. These prisoners enjoy such freedom and luxury that they often don't even want to leave. Instead of dreaming of release, they choose to spend their lives inside, living as if they were in their own lavish homes. Yes, you heard that right. In certain prisons, the lifestyle of the inmates is no less than that of wealthy millionaires. Men are allowed to party with women even, bringing them in from outside. Some facilities allow inmates to travel in helicopters and use the latest technology and gadgets that ordinary people struggle to afford. Sounds unbelievable, doesn't it? But to truly understand the scale of this bizarre reality, you need to see it for yourself. That's why today, we'll dive into some of the world's most shocking prisons, where life behind bars looks nothing like the punishment you'd expect. Let's begin with one of the most famous cases from Indonesia. A story that shocked the entire world. It all started with Artelita, a wealthy businesswoman who was sentenced to 5 years in prison for bribing a government official. Normally, such a punishment would mean years of hardship. But for Sayani, prison turned into something entirely different. The moment she stepped inside, her immense wealth and influence began to work their magic. By bribing prison officers and guards, she transformed her jail cell into something that looked more like a luxury hotel suite than a prison block. When journalists finally caught wind of what was happening, they rushed to the prison to investigate. What they found left them speechless, and soon, the footage spread across the globe. Inside Sayani's so-called cell stood a flat-screen TV, a king-sized bed, a modern bathroom, and countless other luxuries. But that wasn't all. She even had 3 personal servants who tended to her every need day and night, whenever she wanted. Her relatives could visit her freely, and beauty specialists were brought in from outside to do her makeup. When this footage went public, it caused an uproar. Authorities were furious, not only because prison laws had been violated so blatantly, but also because it exposed the deep corruption rotting within the system. Eventually, Sayani faced additional charges, and her sentence was doubled. Yet the scandal revealed a chilling truth. If you have enough money, even the hell of prison can be turned into paradise. And Sayani wasn't the only one. Indonesia's notorious Cipinang prison became infamous after another shocking case, that of Tommy Suharto, the billionaire son of Indonesia's former dictator. Tommy had been sentenced to 15 years in prison for orchestrating the murder of a Supreme Court judge. But what was supposed to be punishment turned into little more than an extension of his luxury lifestyle. His time in prison looked nothing like the experience of ordinary inmates. With money and power on his side, Tommy reshaped his prison life into one of privilege and comfort, living a life inside that others could only dream of outside. Tommy Suharto's prison life was unlike anything you could ever imagine. His cell was not a dark, suffocating cage like the ones ordinary prisoners were crammed into. Instead, it resembled a small private apartment. He had not one, but 3 separate rooms, a dining hall, a spacious bedroom, and even a fully equipped bathroom. Inside his quarters, a television and air conditioning unit kept him entertained and comfortable. The shelves were stocked with luxury clothing and gourmet food, always in abundance. But the most shocking detail was this: Tommy wasn't really locked up at all. He had the freedom to move in and out of prison whenever he wished. Sometimes, he strolled casually outside as if he were a free man. Other times, he went even further, using a helicopter to leave the prison grounds and fly away, only to return later as if nothing had happened. Now pause for a moment and think about this. While Tommy lived in his air-conditioned suite, dined on fine meals, and traveled in helicopters, ordinary inmates in the very same prison were packed like animals. 10 to 12 men squeezed into one tiny cell. They slept on the floor, wore ragged clothes, and struggled with meager food supplies. That contrast alone reveals the brutal truth. In prison, just like in the outside world, money is power, and those with enough wealth can even turn a cage into a palace. But friends, that was only Indonesia's story. Now, let's move to Norway, home to one of the world's most unusual and fascinating prisons, Bastøy Prison. Unlike any prison you've ever imagined, Bastøy has gained fame not for brutality, but for its unique and humane system. To reach this prison, inmates must first cross the water on a ferry. That may sound ordinary, but here's the twist. The ferry itself is driven by prisoners. Once you step onto Bastøy, you realize it's nothing like a walled fortress. Instead, it feels more like a vast open community. Prisoners aren't locked away in suffocating cells. They roam freely under the open sky, walk along the seaside, and even swim during the summer months. The prison grounds are designed like a small village, rather than a place of punishment. Inmates choose their own meals, shop with the money provided to them, and eat together in a communal setting. But it doesn't stop there. The prison offers countless opportunities for inmates to earn money and learn trades. From farming and carpentry to other kinds of hands-on work, they can build real-life skills that prepare them for a future outside. Of course, Bastøy enforces two strict rules: no violence and no drugs. Beyond that, the atmosphere resembles that of a close-knit school, where everyone is treated equally, rich or poor, powerful or powerless. All inmates live side by side without discrimination. It's no wonder many people actually want to be transferred to Bastøy, and honestly, who wouldn't, if given the chance? To serve time in such conditions, would you really want to miss it? Norway is also home to another remarkable facility, Halden Prison, often called the world's most humane prison, surrounded not by barbed wire, but by dense green forest. Halden looks more like a peaceful countryside estate than a correctional facility. Inmates here don't feel like they're being punished inside concrete cages. Instead, each one has a private room furnished with a comfortable bed, a clean bathroom, and even a personal television. Unlike traditional prisons where windows are barred, shut, or absent altogether, Halden's rooms have large open windows that look out onto natural scenery, giving inmates a sense of calm and peace. Even the kitchens are open to prisoners, allowing them to cook their own meals if they wish. What truly sets Halden apart, however, is the relationship. Talking, playing sports, and treating them like human beings rather than criminals. The atmosphere is not one of fear, but of rehabilitation. As a result, inmates here experience dramatic transformations. Many who once lived lives of crime leave Halden as reformed individuals who never return to their old ways. The philosophy behind Halden is clear. Punishment alone cannot change a person. Brutality, violence, and torture often make criminals worse, pushing them deeper into hatred and crime. Instead, by treating them with dignity and giving them an environment of respect, Norway has proven that even the darkest past can be reshaped into a brighter future. And this, friends, is what makes luxury prisons so fascinating. Around the world, from Indonesia's corruption-fueled palace cells to Norway's reform-centered havens, prisons show us one undeniable truth: not all punishments are equal. For some, prison is a nightmare. For others, it is a comfortable second home, or even paradise. So the question remains, should prisons punish, or should they reform? And more importantly, if given the chance to live in such luxury prisons, would you ever want to leave?